What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? This is JeffLightsyJr. here with a Victory Formation. I have a special guest today. He is Mr. Curtis Symonds. He is the president over there at the HBCU Go, helping all the operations for this season as we get ready for year 4 of college football on HBCU Go. Mr. Curtis, how's it going today, sir?
Hey, Jeff, it's good to see you again, man. And thanks for having me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, hopping on here with me for a few minutes. And I want to talk about HBCU Go. This is year 4 of the platform hosting college football games in the HBCU space. Just what has this journey been like for you over the last 4 years, starting from year 1, now going into season number 4?
Well, I got to tell you, Jeff, when Byron Allen got with me and bought my network 4 years ago, man, I would have never assumed we would be in this far as we are today. I knew we had to climb, but we've been on a good, fast pace. The goal was to develop a channel that was strictly based on trying to give exposure to historical Black colleges and universities, not just all on sports, but really also lifestyle, educational programming, anything in the circle that touched the HBCU environment, because you wanted to try to give these schools appropriate look at what they're all about. But we started out, which we're making good movement in sports, because sports is really what HBCUs have been known for. And, now looking back, when you look at 10-year contract with the SWAC, which is major, 10-year contract with the SIAC, 10-year contract, CIAA, and we're working on the MEAC soon. Hopefully we'll have something together. I think we've begun to make some good strides. And I think one of the things that Allen Media Group has really brought to HBCU Go is the quality of the product. One of the things I talked about with Byron Allen when we first got together on this thing is that, you only get one shot with our audience. If we don't deliver the right package, we're going to get blown away quickly. And people say, I don't have time for HBCU Go, where, he really invested in the product and turned the product into a fine-tuned machine where we are competing very strongly with the CBS, the Foxes, the ABCs, and ESPNs around the world. And we're delivering a good quality product. In our third year, we won 3 tellies last year, which was great. And to me, that's a major step. And then we were up in our first year, the Sports Video Group, as a big sports conference every year in Atlanta. And our kickoff show, our hour-long kickoff show, which was our first one last year, we did like 4 or 5 shows. We were up against ESPN's Game Day for the award, which, to me, that was super, because, we were in our first year. ESPN's like in their 8th and 9th year, So, I think the biggest thing for us, Jeff, is we've developed a good quality product, and it's really beginning to grow.
Let's talk about that quality, because it's one thing hearing you talk about it and how much intention that you all put into it. Sure. But the audience takes notice, right? Like the audience, and that is one thing that has been evident, is that the audience appreciates the product the HBCU Go puts on each and every single Saturday. I want to dive into that a little bit, because, you talked about it from year 1, day 1. The game day product for HBCU Go has looked different, right? Like it's looked different. It's a high quality. It's a higher bar and it's free versus being behind a paywall with some of the other institutions, platforms that are there. What you talked about that first impression? What made you, part of your business background acumen, that you knew, talking to Byron Allen and talking to your team there at HBCU Go, that we have to get this right? If we don't get anything else right, we have to get the product right. Well, and why has it been such a success?
I think that comes from the 2 sources I came from, Jeff, coming out of ESPN for 8 years and seeing how we grew ESPN, the quality of that product and I was there from 80 to 88. And ESPN was just getting out the gates. They were not even half as big as they are now, And they were stuck on developing a good quality product, when they came out. And then I think the biggest step for me was my background with Black entertainment television, because of the fact that we were always challenged to develop a quality product in BT, because people looked at us as Black programming. So, of course, we had to be above the notch producing, entertainment programming. And I think that we were able to create a product that not only resonated in the Black community, it resonated across the board. And that was big. And I think we're beginning to start doing the same thing with HBCU Go. We're not just in the Black community. We are now spreading out to where people of all kind of genders are watching us. And that's all keeping an eye on what's HBCU Go doing next. And I think the bigger thing with HBCU Go that really drives it is that you have people like John Kelly, you have the legend Charlie Neal, you have James Hadnot, you got Antoine Bethea, and you have Nia Simone and Laurencia Moulton. Those are all quality, entertaining hosts and sideline folks that do a great job. They do the homework, they come in prepared, and I think that one of the differences that make it, we're real. When you have somebody like a Charlie Neal, they can go back and talk about, I covered your father back in the 60s, doing the days, and he's talking about now the current player, and he just resonates to the audience because now the audience can relate to a lot of that history circled around, Black college sports. So I think that, that's kind of the difference maker, Jeff, is that we're able to sell that culture, that history, the bloodline, and make people realize he's not just a guy behind a helmet. There's a lot of history that goes into that, how that guy showed up at FAMU or, Virginia Union or whoever, that kind of player. So I think it's just that we were able to sensitize the fact that quality from an announcing standpoint to a production standpoint to a people standpoint. I think that when I look around in my shop, having people like my executive assistant, Christine, who's young and gives me a lot of different side point. I have, Jackie Coleman, Renato Lowe. I have Gina Holland, who handles all my technical. And I could go on and on and on, the people who are in my shop. It's a small shop, but they're all dedicated to delivering a good product. And that's really, really what we're focused on, Jeff.
Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Curtis Simon, the president of HBCU Go. Now, Mr. Curtis, I also, with your slate, what are some of the things? This is now year 4, and you feeling like it's bigger and better than ever. You talked about the contracts that you have with the SIAC, CIAA, and the SWAC. What are some of the hurdles that maybe HBCU Go had to overcome in the first 3 years that now you've maybe gotten better under control that people may have not known about?
Well, I think that, one is a scheduling. When we came in the door, ESPN had a glove on it. And that was something where, and for me, I could accept it because I was with ESPN when we got the NFL deal. And when we got the NFL deal on Sunday night, they didn't give us the quality games coming out of the gate. But one of the things that ESPN did that we're trying to get better at HBCU Go is they did a great job marketing the games. And then the games turned out to be good games. And it's the same way I think that we have stumbled up, the SWAC, CIAA, SICSC has given us not always the first pick, but we've had the second and third picks that ended up being good games, very competitive games. And it got people chimed into looking at what we're doing. It wasn't all when Deion was there. It wasn't all Jackson State. We were doing other teams, at the same time. So we were able to, in my opinion, create the buzz. Because, one of the things that, like me and my executive assistant, Christine, talked about is we got to get the groundswell, man. I mean, we're working on the groundswell. 3 years ago, Jeff, I could walk outside with an HBCU Go shirt and nobody know who I am. Today, I walk out there, people will grab me and say, hey, man, I watch that network. I see that Black college sports. So that tells me that the brand is beginning to start growing. Now, it's going to take time. I was just telling somebody yesterday that, it took the NFL 20 years to really grow that brand. It didn't happen in 4 years. So we are slowly building a good brand that people are paying attention. And they know, backed by Byron Allen, that it's not a BS brand. They know it's a quality brand, and we're doing good things, and we're creating more stories, more things that people look and say, wow, we're doing some good things here targeted to stronger Black colleges and universities.
Absolutely. Speaking of the growing aspect of the brand, you have more games than ever this year. You have crazy slate starting August 30th with Jackson State taking on Hampton. You've got the Las Vegas Classic. You've got 4 homecoming games. What is it intentional for HBCU Go to be at some of these bigger, like whether it's Jackson State versus Grambling in Vegas, the opening game for JSU against Hampton, the 4 homecomings? Is it bigger for HBCU Go to be a part of some of these classics and homecomings?
Oh, no question.
Does that help? Is that intentional?
I mean, the goal was as we climb the ladder is, number one is to get into more classics, because classics are for us in the Black college sports arena, that's like that's like the holiday tournament games in December. So we know there's going to be a big crowd. We know there's going to be a lot of buzz in the area. So the more we can get ingested in those type games, the more our brand gets around more and more people, because alumni is coming back, students coming in, people coming from all over, and people are paying attention to what we're doing. So yes, I mean that was very somewhat of attention. And then homecomings are homecomings. There's nothing like any homecoming at any HBCU. It is the buzz. It's just like I tell people, schools, when you're recruiting a kid, have them come to homecoming at your school, because once they see that environment and see all the people who look like them, first words out of their mouth, I can come to this school. It makes sense. So it is intentional to try to show that. And then also, Jeff, if you look at it from the tailgate partying, all the things that's going around, the culture that's flying, all doing, that's what we're trying to develop, man. That's what we're trying to show more, because it doesn't get shown much. I mean, ESPN, I love them. I came out and they do a good job, but they don't really beat down on the culture like we do, and they don't really understand it, because a lot of people who produce it didn't come out of it. Like, I came out of Central State, so I know exactly what I think my staff needs to do. And I have quite a few people who came out of HBCUs who also can contribute to our production people and say, hey, maybe we should look at this. Maybe we need to go to this angle, or do this, do that, to make the show more productive in what people are seeing. So it is what was kind of, and we just want to grow our schedule. I think, to your point, this year's schedule is top notch. When you open up with Hampton and Jackson State, we go to Tuskegee, the first time they've had lights. We're doing a night game in Tuskegee with Central State.
Wow.
I mean, that's a first. That's a first, Jeff. So it's the more and more we're going. And I think that this Las Vegas Classic is on the crux of the Bayou. I think people are going to look at the Bayou and say, well, the Bayou's had many, many years. And I think doing it at Raiders Stadium, in Vegas in October, a good time. People want to get to a place like Vegas. Jackson State has a great following. Grambling has a great following. I think it's going to have, it's going to, and I think there's going to be a lot of crossover there too, because you're going to have a lot of people in Vegas, for example, just their vacation, but they're going to hear about it. They're going to see the bands floating around. And go, oh, maybe I need to go over here and check this out. So I think it's going to have, I think that kind of game is going to have a real interesting environment. But I think the whole schedule, I mean, we got the Gulf Coast Classic with Jackson State, Alabama A&M. That's going to be a big one, Then we have, Virginia State at Virginia Union, that's a big one. I went there 2 years ago. You couldn't get in the stadium. It was jam-packed. People on the field damn near. So the more we can show that and show that we're growing the product, Jeff, I think puts us in a position to make HBCU Go a mainstay in our community.
Absolutely. And I believe it's well on its way. It's one of the things that I've seen in this space grow unlike anything else. And to be able to, and this is going to sound elementary, but as someone who's in broadcasting, I really appreciate it, to be able to go, put up a successful broadcast in a place like Vegas, and then to take it also to New York. Right. Like it doesn't matter where the location, the quality is still the same. And that's one thing that as a consumer that I can say, going to HBCU Go, I don't have to worry about if there's lights in the broadcast booth, right? Like
Right.
I don't have to worry about the audio quality of Charlie Neal and John Kelly, right? Like I don't have to worry about whether the camera angles will be able to follow the ball. And behind some paywall platforms, that's not always the case, especially when showing a Black college football product. And that I think stands out.
I contribute that to Gina Holland, who runs all my technical stuff. Jackie Coleman, who is heavy on the talent, making sure our day-to-day is running right, and Renato Lowe, who is very, very, those three are very instrumental in growing the type of team on the ground, from promos to, and Michelle Brooks also on the marketing side. That team has really put together a machine that's working like clockwork together. And I think that's one of the things that helps your product grow. I come from the old school, Jeff, that, you know, people always say, Mr. Symonds, you've been very successful. I said, let me make it clear to you. I'm not an I guy. I'm a we guy. Okay. They have helped me be successful. I'm the guy who runs my mouth, you know, and does the thing, the front guy, but behind the scenes, you got to have that village, man. You got to have that village, Jeff. And I've got a good village who understands my vision. I mean, they drill my head all the time about, what about this? What about this? What if we tried this? What about that? So, you know, I appreciate that, because I'm certainly not the smartest person in the world. So I appreciate having people around me who think maybe we should go this angle and see what happens. And I'm a risk taker. You know, I like to not be the norm. Let's try something, you know, to maybe send something a different way, to develop something that people say, oh, wow, I didn't know they could do it like that. Bottom line. So absolutely. I think it's the people you have around you, Jeff, that really spark the fire, that drive the nail to develop a program where you say, man, this thing is really off the chain. And then, you know, let's be just clear on everything, Jeff. You know, we always have to be a notch ahead. Just how we come out. Okay, we always got to be a little bit better than the norm to get respected. And I think we're slowly but surely, you know, climbing that ladder.
You're absolutely right about that. Once again, we're talking to Curtis Symonds, president of HBCU Go. Now, Mr. Curtis, I want to ask, when it comes to your relationship with the SWAC, I just want to talk about the SWAC specifically, because it's the bigger conference that you know, broadcast rights for. What has that relationship been like since you signed your deal, and the growth of the SWAC, right? Like we've seen the SWAC continue to grow in its numbers and attendance and viewership, so much so that they've even launched their own SWAC TV network. But what is that relationship, that working relationship look like over the last 4 years?
Tip my hat to Charles McClellan, the commissioner. Charles is one of the sharpest guys that I know. You know, I deal with Jackie McWilliams, Anthony Holloman. They're all great, but Charles he took a risk on us. You know, he was the first one that jumped out and took the risk, you know, because we had a relationship, and that relationship has just grown over the years. And he even said, I mean, you know, one of the things I'm trying to use the word that he used all the time is, he was, when people ask him the same question you're asking me, he said, well, HBCU Go was a game changer. You know, they opened the door wider for us, you know. And because of that, because of our syndication group, you know, and because of the quality of the SWAC, you know, we've grown now, Jeff. We're in 93% of U.S. television households in our syndication package. We're in 96% of African-American households in our syndication package. That's big. When you're being seen in now Wyoming, you know, all markets that, there's not that many Black people out there. So who's enjoying this? But there's a lot of crossover out there, because it's sports. It's sports. I mean, one of the things that made us successful at BT, I'm trying to drive the same message with HBCU Go. Don't judge me as Black programming. Judge me as programming, that I'm delivering a good product on the table, Jeff. And I think we are. I mean, to me, the catch-22 is, and I preach this now all the time, it's Travis Hunter. 2 years at Jackson State. Heisman Trophy winner last year. Okay. Come out the SWAC. Now, would he have made a Heisman Trophy if he'd been there 4 years? I doubt that very seriously, because there wouldn't have been enough exposure to give him the platform he needed. But I'm thankful that he started his career at Jackson State and with Deion and with Shador. And they both are enjoying the wealth of it. Both of them in the NFL. You know, Shador's brother down with the Bucks. I mean, they've grown it. And what's sad, Jeff, what's really sad is that when you really look at the NFL now, you see it more and more of, they won't draft them, free agents out of HBCUs because they know they can bring them in at lesser money, but they're quality programs. Quality players. I mean, you look at, you know, Anton Pathet, Hall of Famer, come out of Howard. Wasn't highly drafted, free agent. You know, played 14 years. Never sat out a game, 14 years. You know, says a lot, man. Says a lot, you know. Absolutely. And I think that somewhere down the road, I'm hoping that, Jeff, the more exposure between ourselves and ESPN, that the league takes a harder look at the talent in the HBCU circle. Because I think there's a lot of quality players that get stepped by and stepped on instead of opening up that door and saying, let me take a risk on you and see what you like. Because you can't tell me that a lot of players that are in the HBCU circle now would be playing top D1 ball if it wasn't for XYZ, grades, attitude, whatever. But there's a place there for them. And that's my goal, Jeff, is to help drive the awareness and open up that door so these young men can grow and have an opportunity. That's my job.
Definitely. And once again, this is Mr. Curtis Symonds of HBCU Go. Now, this will be my last question, Mr. Curtis. What is the future of HBCU Go? Over the course of the next 5-10 years, what does the future look like for your company?
Well, I mean, the future is this. You know, we started out, you know, as I told you, focusing more on football, basketball. One of the things how I was able to get these 10-year deals with all these conferences is talking about all sports. So the future for us is to branch out. We hope in 26 that we have a good spring season package of different sports from, you know, tennis, golf, softball, baseball, you know, the total package, you know, of trying to offer more so that more and more students can see the opportunities that lie at HBCUs. I mean, they know more because they've heard more and seen more of football and basketball. But there's a lot of other sports that, you know, it's sad that, you know, the girls from Fisk, you know, disbanded that program when they were on the cusp of being special. They had some great talent down there, you know. Now they moved to, some of them went to Wilberforce where they kind of carried on. I don't know how that program is doing right now, but, you know, it's all about funding. It's all about opportunity. And it's all about, you know, getting the door open. So we're hoping to grow that. And then the other thing, I think the bigger thing for us, Jeff, is that, you know, I'm big on the culture. So we want to continue to grow the culture of HBCUs because I want to feature more on the education side. I want to feature more on the lifestyle side so that people understand that at every single HBCU school, Jeff, there's something special about each school that the world doesn't know about. And I use the movie, you know, Figures that was out there with the lady who helped the astronauts go up. You know, she was from West Virginia State. And, you know, including myself, I never knew that John Glenn never said I wouldn't go up in the air until this lady stamps these numbers. Never knew that. Never knew until I saw that movie. And she comes out of West Virginia State, which is the HBCU. And there's more and more of those stories out there that are untold. You know, and so my goal with my team is to, you know, become more of a storytelling network down the road, Jeff. I'm hoping that I can get some sponsors to buy into some of the ideas that we're talking about. But every day my people create some good ideas that we throw out the street. You know, we haven't had anything really bite yet, but we're getting close. You know, some great shoulder programming that I think will tell stories of different universities, different individuals, different stories that make sense in our HBCU community that people want to look at and say, wow, I didn't know that about them. Okay. So I think if we can educate our people more, Jeff, my goal is to get more people of color and non-people of color, a crossover, to begin to start growing, these universities like the PWIs do, because that's what it's all about. You got to get students. You got to grow your revenue. You got to be able to educate these people to the point where they understand what the next step is. So that's kind of my goal, Jeff, down the road. And I'm hoping, I'm going on 70 in 2 weeks. I'm hoping, within the next 5 years, I'm pushing that needle hard. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to see it. I know we talked a lot about sports, but to hear that potentially some of those stories could be coming to your platform, maybe in a documentary style or announcer style, would be amazing. Like that would be amazing. Like I said, I know most of this was about sports, but to know that some of those stories could be coming to a platform, and we know the production is going to be high quality because that's how you do sports games. So we know you'll do your same documentary styles that same way. That's exciting to hear.
Let me just say this, Jeff. I really do appreciate you, man, because this is the second time we've done an interview, and you dig deep. And I appreciate that because I think that, the more you can tap into grassroots, the more you can get more people to understand what you're doing. They hear the name, like you say, people, if you're not around me 24/7, you might, get blocked, and he's only doing this. So it's good that you help me open the door more and able to explain where we're landing, on the ground. Because I think that this network that Byron Allen and I have put together is something that's going to be special down the road, Jeff. I think it's got an opportunity to really lend a leg that where people are going to say, "Wow, they really did the right thing at the end of the day." And I'm hoping we get. I'm starting to hear a little buzz on that, because people understand the effort, they see the work that my team is putting into it to get the job done. But at the end of the day, what is our legacy at the end of the day with this channel? Did we get it to where it could have been? That's one thing that hurt me at BT. I didn't get to where I thought BT could have got to, and I'm hoping I can reverse that here with HBCU Go and hopefully take it to the place I think it deserves. Because we do have meaning. We do have a great staff. We have a great owner. And I think we're in a position now in today's society that more and more people will listen to us because we're delivering a good message at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I'm right there behind you, Mr. Curtis. I
hope you touch base with my son because I want to get your podcast on the network. I keep telling him to do something with you. Let's make this happen. Because I listen to you a lot, and I think you're a sharp young man. And I want you to be part of this. So please reach back out to my son, Carrington, and make sure he gets you hooked up.
I appreciate that, Mr. Curtis. Well, I appreciate you coming through. That is Mr. Curtis Symonds of HBCU Go. Thank you so much. I feel like we learned a lot, and we cannot wait till this football season kicks off with Jackson State versus Hampton on HBCU Go. You can check it there, along with a number of classics, 4 homecoming games, and just a boatload from the CIAA, the SIAC, and the SWAC this upcoming season. Thank you, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thanks, man. Take care.
You too.